Hi, everybody. Something I've been noticing lately is whether starseed, human, hybrid, ET, there are some things that are always the same. We all want to love and to be loved. We all want to matter, to hold a place in the universe. We all want to make a difference somehow, to add meaning to our existence. I've found that one of the most beautiful recognitions in life is the understanding of unity and what it means to a soul when one is able to digest, to fuse with its surroundings, with loved ones, with nature, with knowledge. This integration seems to base itself in the inclination towards surrender. When all facets of self come together in peace, in harmony with each other. When no aspect of self outshines another. When all just is, and you simply are. That's the oneness we've all been told about. We're all seeds to one another, seeds of knowledge, seeds of divinity, of hope, of optimism, of love. It's much like that one seed that builds a great forest, or a meadow of grasses and wildflowers, or a field of clover or poppies. To create a pine tree, for example, the seeds form when pollen swirls on the wind and lands on the flowers in the treetops. Once pollinated, these flowers grow into pine cones. Single entity seeds develop inside the cones. These seeds are like fragments of ideas, much like ourselves. Each individual entity self, each idea, comes together in cooperation to form the whole. Germinating seeds become seedlings, and seedlings become plants, and plants mature into trees that give off pollen, and so forth, until an entire stand of trees turns into a forest. Now, what was once the individual has developed into a complex ecosystem made up of many layers of plants and animals, which along with the soils and the climate and the landforms create an ecosystem that mutually benefits all. The more an ET society advances, the more interconnected it becomes, where the individual makes way for the emergence of a vibratory network or complex of souls, all working in cooperation toward a mutual goal. I have a memory of being on an Arcturian ship and participating in bringing in information where we worked both on an individual basis as well as within a group consciousness. We understood that to gain knowledge, if we all put out the same telepathic thought together, rather than just one of us, that we would gain much more and much deeper information on that concept. We understood that each one of us has individual abilities and intelligence, but also each has certain personal limitations. So when we work together as a group, focusing telepathically on one concept, the knowledge that arises from this focus is presented much clearer and more detailed. And we therefore learned to proceed in this way for every new investigation and discovery. The water that flows through pipes into our homes that we drink in our morning tea, that water is soon to become an important part of our physicality, our very cells. We could ask, which is more important, water or food? Rain or sunshine? Male or female? ET or human? It's only when we unite it all that it becomes of service to both the individual and the planet herself. A single cell becomes a baby. A baby becomes a family becoming a neighborhood, a community, a town, a city, and so on. This earth is a perfect opportunity for this example. Extraterrestrials and extra-dimensionals from universes and galaxies arrive to take on suits of flesh created to accommodate souls from every ET race imaginable through the amazing process of birth or of a consensual soul exchange. They wear these flesh costumes to provide a vessel, a container in which they can ride within for a time to allow them the adventure of human life, to become a part of a community of numerous races into one group, one people, bringing their individuality with them, each becoming a cell in a great divine being called humanity. This is how we learn about each other, by being another race, one race of many races, exchanging ideas, thoughts, swapping roles and information, all coming together into one great thought, the thought of love. Love for a child, for a friend, a neighbor, an animal, or the ultimate understanding, love of self. I am that. Like a growing child discovering aspects of self until becoming mature enough to integrate various beliefs and opinions and ideas all into one concept of me. And this realization is to be the genesis of a great truth, now demonstrated as I am Joe, or I am Sally. I love watching nature. The other day I was fascinated by the birds at the feeders outside of my window. I was taken by how they all manage their own way in a sea of species, from the cute little bush tits to the huge raptors soaring above, the house finches and chickadees and nuthatches and warblers and juncos. There's the ground feeders and the seed eaters and the suet lovers and the hummingbirds, the noisy crows and jays, an entire menagerie of singing and clicking and chirping and crowing and cawing. And yet they all get along. They all seem to mind their own little world in such peace and joy, all singing together. And if a larger bird like a crow or a jay would swoop in, the little ones would scatter up into the trees. The moment the crow would leave, they would all come back as if nothing happened. No anger or upset at being chased out, just happily hopping back to their favorite spot among the shrubs. No gathering of one species against another. No gossip among the chickadees to war against the scrub jay, for instance. The partnership in nature is amazing. You've all seen it on YouTube. A sheep suckling a baby goat, a dog romping with a deer, a cat raising baby mice, a duckling befriending a batch of kittens. It's a crazy, wonderful world, and we can all learn from it. Here we are on this planet, a conglomeration of ET races, all within the bodies of humans, living and working together. What could be better? When we all learn about this planet and what it's created for, it all begins to make sense. A playground for ET souls. We come down here from the stars. Arcturian, Pleiadian, Urma, Andromedan, Essassani, and so many more. To be among those from all worlds and all densities, we come to live with those we cannot meet with under our usual circumstances because of incompatible physical issues or other factors. Here on Earth, we can all live together, interrelating and communicating with each other, with others who we would never meet or know in the higher densities. Just as the great source, the all in all, fragmented itself into an infinity of selves as a means of gaining awareness and knowledge. Here on Earth, nature can't survive without diversity. A forest without diversity dies, and so would a civilization. Tree monocultures are usually grown to produce cheap lumber. But planting a monoculture instead of a mixed forest ends up destroying biodiversity, producing trees that are prone to weakness and disease, creating dead zones within the planting. As ecosystems evolve in nature, they become more diverse. A mixed forest creates more diversity, therefore more resources. Instead of drawing nutrients only from the soil, the trees can start exchanging resources with other plants through cooperative interchange. We as humans, humanity, can learn from this model and evolve to work together for the betterment of all. It comes down to recognizing that we are all related to each other. Well, through residency, if nothing else. Why do people have parties? So they can come together and share ideas and food and drink and laugh and talk together. Hey Joe, what have you been up to lately? Oh, I'm building a deck on the back of my house. What's new with you? I'm writing a book. Hey, did you hear? Amy's pregnant again. Well, the third time's the charm, ha ha ha. Parties. And what is really fun to realize is that this party conversation may be taking place between a Sirian and a Pleiadian, or an Andromedan. The neighbor down the road may be an Orion soul who arrived in the human body for the same reasons you did: adventure, learning, contrast. And some wonder why it is that humanity just can't seem to get along. Why are there always wars and conflict? That conflict only comes about through separation. When one side is judged by another to be wrong because they just don't think like we do. In truth, we come here to discover and to learn from each other. We're not all supposed to be the same. The world is made up of unique and remarkable souls. And the gift of being here is in sharing those differences without prejudice, and therefore growing from them. So remember, your sister-in-law just may be a seventh density being from Venus. So don't judge her as weird for wearing her crystals or going out at night to speak to the stars. That gruff old man living 2 doors down may have just come from a life as a fifth density race of evolved reptilians and came here to see what all the fuss is about. None of us come here for more separation. We come here for the contrast and the chance to develop a deeper understanding of soul potential, to become more than we were, to learn to raise our vibration, to know acceptance, to learn to love freely and openly, to be who and what we are, divine vessels of truth and beauty. This is the human race. Thanks.